Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Destiny video. Now, if you cast your mind back about a week ago, I put up a video showing you my level 31 Hunter, but it is now time to update that. If you look at my armor right now, you can see I'm about to be level 32. I saved the momentous moment for you guys, so that way we can kind of level up together, so to speak. So what I'm about to do is put the very last upgrade into my chest piece, and then what I'm going to do is the usual kind of thing before I do that. Jump back, kind of running through all of my armor, how it's sort of like changed since the last time I did this video, running through sort of like what I'm wearing, my sort of change in weapons, and again sort of any builds I might have sort of changed or anything like that. So basically just running through my current level 32 Hunter. So let's begin by making myself level 32, put the last upgrade in here. In order to do this, you'll need 63 shards in total if you want to do or you want to kind of hit level 32 with 3 pieces of raid gear and a new exotic, or kind of like a leveled up exotic. But anyway, there we go, level 32 light. As you can see, that is now the new level cap in the dark below, so you cannot go higher than level 32, not until, well, I assume, not until the next DLC pack comes out. I would then assume they will raise it again, but that remains to be seen. For the time being, this is now as high as you can get. So with that out of the way, let me just sort of spin him around here so you can see him from all angles. I believe the last time I showed you guys my Hunter, the level 31 one, I didn't actually have any raid gear. I had the Acolyte Rung, which are the gauntlets you get from Arekkz when you complete her Earn quest. These ones, they look very similar. In fact, I'll show you this. If I equip them now, and you look at the arm on, say, the Hunter, if I take it off here for a second, you can see it's got a big spike on the top right arm. If I then equip the Acolyte Rung, and this kind of applies for all classes, the sort of gauntlet that Arekkz gives you is largely a kind of smaller version of what the raid one looks like, because you can see the left arm looks basically the same, but the right arm has just got a like smaller spike. But anyway, that's not important. Let's put this back on here. So right now I'm running with the Dog Gauge, which are the gauntlets from the raid. So if you can let this picture load for a second, you can see it from that side. So it's kind of a cool design, but the key perks on this one, so I've got Switchblade, increased melee attack speed, and I have Hive Breaker. So killing a hive with a melee attack has a chance to spawn an orb of light, which is obviously very useful for your team. So then moving on to the chest. Now I got this and the legs yesterday. I ran the raid 3 times yesterday on the Tuesday weekly reset, and the first time I got nothing, the second time I got the chest and the legs. So starting from the front, increase the amount of hand cannon ammo that you can carry, which is extremely useful because they are basically the only primary weapon I use these days anyway. Then moving over to this one, increase the amount of fusion rifle ammo you can carry. And then this one, Moment of Speed. Gain a temporary increase to reload speed while Oversoul's Gaze is active. Now, for those of you that haven't done the raid or haven't got to the final boss, the Oversoul is this, effectively it's a big green orb that summons in Crota's End, the very sort of final boss fight. If one of your team die, this orb summons, and if you don't destroy the orb, then your entire team wipes. So having increased reload speed is extremely useful, because if you're firing at this orb, you run out of ammo, you have to reload. That time wasted is time that the orb is kind of ticking down, and you might not do it in time. So that is going to be really, really handy. So that is the kind of key perk for the chest, and that will apply to all classes as well. So you'll all have that perk. Then the legs, let's go over here. First up, heavy weapon ammo, so increase the ammunition, or the amount of heavy weapon ammunition you can carry. And Sword Bearer's Touch, so gain a temporary increase to agility while carrying the sword of a Hive Sword Bearer. So again, this is really useful because the key mechanic for the Crota fight is to take a sword and run up to him and beat him around the head with it. So if you're the sword runner and you've got these legs, then you'll be running even faster. So that way you can get there that much sooner, and ideally you can get a few more hits on him before the sword despawns. So they are the gauntlets, the chest, and the legs for the raid for the Hunter. I haven't actually got the helmet just yet. That is proving to be quite elusive, but for the time being I do have everything I need, and this up here is the Mask of the Third Man. It's the same one I maxed out last time. It is just the kind of like Blade Dancer helmet, but unstable current. Arc Blade attacks use less super energy, so I can effectively get more attacks out of my super bar. And Switchblade, increase melee attack speed, and also replenish health each time you pick up an orb of light. So this is currently my leveled up exotic, so that is kind of like my placeholder. I am looking to replace that. Eventually, I think my kind of ideal setup would be the raid helmet and either the Can't Touch This gauntlet, just because this entire build I kind of set it up in such a way so that I'm invisible for as long as possible, as much as possible. So if I can get the Can't Touch This gauntlets, then when you get hit, you go invisible. So that'd be really useful. Alternatively, I'd keep the arms, the chest, the helmet, and then try and get one of the new boots. So like the Radiant Dance Machines. I mean, I appreciate they're probably not the best item in the game, probably don't have the best perk either, but they do look pretty cool, so that is a potential. But for the time being, that is just sort of like a pie in the sky thing. Also, if you do want to see, this is the cape from the raid. Don't really like it, to be honest. It's a bit weird, but that's what it looks like. In fact, if I jump out here, you can see it here. It's just a little bit too... I don't even know why I don't like it. I just don't like it. So yeah, so I decided to go with the Vanguard one. In fact, before I switch back, let me just show you what the raid armor looks like without a shader. That is the kind of sort of default color for it. So again, it's very sort of like Hyvy, you know, husky, beigey, brown colors. And this is the raid shader. There you go. So again, sort of similar kind of color tones, but I prefer to use, where are we? The first shader from Arekkz. Right. Anyway, sorry, let's get back onto the topic at hand. So switch this back. So that's all the armor I'm rocking with right now. So yeah, either third man and 3 pieces of raid gear is enough to get you to level 32. Alternatively, you can have 4 pieces of raid gear, but this is the kind of minimum combination you need. You then check your light level and you now have 144 light. So, moving over to the left-hand side. So I am still running with Fatebringer. I love this pistol. It does arc damage, so it's pretty useful in the raid anyway. It admittedly isn't, you know, a level 32 weapon, so it's capped out at 300, but it still does the damage I need. When I go into the hard mode raid, I am going to have to sort of switch it out, because it's probably not going to be, well, I know for a fact it won't be quite as viable, but for the time being, the raid that I'm doing right now, it doesn't seem to have any problems. But yeah, that is my primary weapon. I'm also leveling up, or kind of on the way to completing the Thorn Bounty, so that may well become my primary hand cannon, because then I can run with a hand cannon, and it will be a more powerful 3-3-1 attack weapon, which will be useful. But that is for the most part my primary. I do also have Eidolon Ally, which I've just sort of like almost finished upgrading. I do need to actually obviously fill the bubbles in, but for the most part that's ready to go. So I'll use that potentially sort of like in certain situations where I'm sort of like fighting off a lot of thrall, but I don't really like the impact on that. But I'll talk about that in more detail in a later video. I'm going to review this weapon for you guys anyway, but I'm not a massive fan of this weapon. Maybe it'll change once it turns into Necrochasm and it's got arc damage and it's sort of got the extra perk. Potentially it'll be cool then, but for the time being I'm not massively taken by it. I know it's effectively an arc version of Atheon's Epilogue, but it just feels really weak. But either way, that is the other sort of like main thing in my inventory. I just got this the other day, the Vanquisher. I had the original version of this, and I got a drop, which is giving me the slightly more upgraded version, which is good because that's one of my favourite auto rifles. Just really like that for PvP. But then again, I do still mainly use hand cannons for that as well. And then everything else here you've basically seen before. Nothing's really changed. Then moving down to my secondary, yes, you've guessed it. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I basically never take this off. Icebreaker is my go-to sniper rifle, my go-to exotic, and just my favourite weapon in the game. So yes, this is it still remains here, and this is the newly upgraded version, so fully maxed out at 331. I got this the other day from the raid, again yesterday. Yesterday was quite a good day actually for the raid. I got this, I got my raid pieces, I got pretty much everything I needed. I even got the cape from there as well. But this is an upgraded version of Patience of Time, level 32-1 again, so going to 331 damage. I haven't upgraded it at all just yet, but this was yesterday's haul. Then on top of that, these are 2 of the new weapons I got as well. So I showed you in the last raid loot video that I got the Swordbreaker shotgun, which is the raid shotgun. I haven't really done much with this because I'm not a massive shotgun user, but what I did get yesterday was this, the Light of the Abyss, which is the raid fusion rifle, and it is actually really good. I've seen a lot of people using it in PvP. It's got a really sort of short charge time as well, so it seems to be quite powerful in that respect. So I'm leveling this one up to sort of check it out. But again, I'm not a massive fusion rifle user either. I basically just, any excuse to sort of, or anything to try and make me take my icebreaker off, I just don't like it. So I was like, you know what? No. But that being said, it does have its uses. You know, when I'm doing like nightfalls and stuff and they've got certain burns on, I'm clearly not going to be using icebreaker for that. So this is, yeah, deals arc damage. Really good, really fast firing. So definitely a good fusion rifle to have. And then Murmur, I've sort of nearly maxed out. I've got the key perk for that one, so I can slide further with that. Just got to do the last kind of few on here, but then that is pretty much there. So that's that. And then the only other new thing or new addition to my arsenal is Song of Iyut, which is the machine gun from the raid. Now this is a beast. This, you know, for a while again I've been running with Hez and Vengeance just because it's never let me down, but this is so good. Like, as a machine gun, it basically has no recoil. I mean, I know it obviously it'll have a little bit, and if you look at the sort of stats, obviously that may kind of differ, but when you use it, when you shoot it, it basically doesn't shake. You're basically shooting in a straight line, really powerful bullets, and it's just so good. It tears through people, so I do really like this. And the key perk on this one, the very first one, Dark Breaker. Projectiles will overpenetrate through Hive Night Wall of Darkness. That is the black wall that the knights put up, so when you shoot them a couple of times, they put this defensive wall up. This can shoot straight through that, so this can just obliterate them, which is really, really useful. And then obviously going across the talent section, you have Grenadier. Kills with this weapon reduce cooldown on your grenade. And then also down here you have Hive Disruptor, so increased damage to Hive Mages, and then your usual array of kind of typical machine gun things. So this is the machine gun from the raid. I haven't got the heavy, the rocket launcher yet, nor do I have the sniper rifle, which is a shame because the sniper rifle is the main one that I want. But for the time being, that is that. So this is my current setup. The all the armor that you've already seen, and then hand cannon, primary, Fatebringer, unless of course I need to change it for a particular burn. Icebreaker, secondary, and the Song of Eryut for my heavy. Then, if I go down here, just sort of like the last few things, nothing here has really changed. Emblem for the raid, shader for that. The ship is still the same. I haven't yet got the ship from the raid. I just have a few of the aspect of glass kicking around anyway. And then obviously running with the EV30 tumbler because doing stunts is really, really cool. The only other thing I want to show you is my build. So this is what I'm running with right now for the raid. So in the grenade tree, I use arc bolt grenades because it's really, really good, especially when you're going through the abyss, for example. You drop it down into like a big group of thrall and it just destroys like a fair few of them. So that's really good for kind of like dealing with crowds. It's not so good for like the stronger enemies, but you know, I don't really use it for that. My grenade, like my primary use of grenade is just to sort of like, it's crowd control really. It's just sort of, if things get too crazy, especially with this one, it doesn't hurt you, so I can literally throw it at my feet and then just everything around me kind of gets dispersed and I can get out safely. Then on the second tree, I go for higher jump. I don't really like blink. I find it kind of unpredictable. I use it more in PvP, but I don't really use it for just sort of general day-to-day stuff. And I'm not too worried about the directional control. The thing I like about this one is the individual jumps are actually really high. So when you're running through the abyss and when you're running through like the darkness and trying to sort of get over those holes, even if you've got weight of darkness on you, you can still jump quite high. You can't double jump, but your single jump is a lot higher than everyone else's. So it's quite useful. So that's my my jump. Then on this tree I have a Showstopper, again because if I'm fighting lots of thrall or I'm standing in the middle, standing sort of like in the middle of the ring trying to summon the bridge, then I can activate Blade Dancer, press right trigger and just dish out this sort of like 360-degree ring of arc damage and take out all the thrall. Then on the next column I have Blink Strike and I have this one here, Escape Artist. So if I hit an enemy with Blink Strike it grants brief invisibility. So again this is really useful because as I mentioned before I want this build to be all about trying to sort of like go invisible when I can or wherever possible and staying invisible for as long as possible as well. So if I get sort of like mobbed by thralls I can stab one of them and go invisible and they run away, or similarly if I'm trying to sort of sneak through. This is actually really useful if you're fighting Crota. For example, if you're the sword bearer and it kind of like gets a bit hectic and he doesn't sort of, you know, you're trying to be greedy with your hits and he starts to get up, you can just drop your sword, stab him, and then you'll go invisible and he won't hit you, which is really useful. So, pro tip for you there. And then moving over to the next one, I go with Path Forgotten because again, for this build I just want max agility. And then down here I have Shadowjack, so I can increase the duration of invisibility effects. Where the Drifter, again, just sort of more stuff towards my agility. And this one here, Stalker, crouching to go invisible. So I now have two ways to go invisible. I can stab people, or I can crouch. So as you can see, that's why I said I wanted the exotic can't touch this, because then it means that I can go invisible when I get hit. So then I'll have three different ways to do the same thing. So that is my build that I run with, and I use that primarily in the raid. Like I always said before, when running the Vault of Glass, you'd never want to be a Blade Dancer in the Vault of Glass, but in the Crota's End raid, I do recommend being a Blade Dancer over a Gunslinger. Unless, of course, you're sort of like, you know, further at the back and you just want to deal damage. But for the role that I play, you know, I'm the sword bearer, and I'm kind of like the guy that tries to sort of like run through to the secret chest and all stuff like that. So being invisible and being a Blade Dancer is, you know, to my benefit. So that is pretty much it. That is my level 32 hunter. If you have any questions or there's anything particular you want to see, or any of the stuff that I kind of scanned over too quickly and you want to know more about, do let me know and I will put them up as separate videos, or kind of like give you some more information on them in the comments down below. But either way, let me know what you think. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button down below. Don't forget to give it a like. Show your support. It does really help us out. And obviously don't forget to subscribe for daily gaming videos and much more from Destiny and all that good stuff. And thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.